Hi everyone and welcome to Theme Park Worldwide. In this video I'm going to be ranking the 7 different roller coasters located at Thorpe Park here in the United Kingdom. Now back in 2002 Thorpe Park branched out into the thrill market with their first big thrill coaster. That was of course Colossus, and at its time it was the world's first 10 looping coaster. It really put Thorpe Park on the map, and then they went on to build lots of other fantastic thrilling roller coasters. The year after, Nemesis Inferno. They then built Stealth, Saw the Ride, The Swarm, and have just kept expanding their thrill market. But how do I rank all of these different coasters up against each other? That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So let's get started. Lots to talk about, and as always, let me know your top 7 Thorpe Park coasters down below in the video comments. I love reading through them, and it's always nice to hear your thoughts too. So here we go. Right then, straight in with the 7th coaster in my list, and this is the Flying Fish. This is a Mack Rides powered coaster that originally opened at the park in 1983, so it's quite an old ride. Bear in mind, Thorpe Park used to be more of a family park. It's now based around the thrill seekers and that market, but back in the 80s, yes, it was a family park, and the Flying Fish, as it was later known, was a fantastic and very popular ride. It originally opened under a different name, and then Flying Fish was actually closed and relocated to where it currently is today, and it opened there in 2007. It was relocated to actually make way for Stealth because that's where the ride used to be located. Now, with the layout of the Flying Fish, it's very compact. It's got a very simple layout. There's no big drops or anything like that. It's a pretty simple layout that's built up of a couple of helixes. But you know what? It's good fun. And the ride itself has got a bit of a surfing and a beach theme that it never used to have in its old location. Whereas here now it fits right in with a very light beach theme. There's not really any theming directly around the ride. The station itself is an open station, so there's not loads to look at, but it's a good fun ride, and the fish that you sit in itself, the train, is fantastic on this. Now in terms of the track length, 233 meters, that's 767 feet, and like I say, you'll go around this multiple laps. I remember having like 8 laps on it once on a Fright night when we just kept going round and round on it. The operator wouldn't let us off, and that's the good thing with these interactive rides. It's the same with the Runaway Mine Train at Alton Towers. Now, along with that, it reached a top speed of around 19 miles an hour. And like I say, I'm not really the target market for this. Again, it's a family ride. It's designed for the little ones, but it's good fun. Like, you know, then when you go to Thorpe Park, you want to try and get in every coaster on a day, or at least I do when I go. And I'll always have a good fun ride on the Flying Fish and see how many laps around that we can get. So in 7th place, it's the Flying Fish. Let's move then into 6th place now, and it's the Walking Dead The Ride. Now, the actual ride itself is a Vekoma Enigma coaster, one of only 2 that were ever built, and originally opened as X No Way Out in 1996. Now, the ride has gone through a few changes over the years. It was later just known as X. The coaster itself used to actually go backwards. They then made it so it faces forwards, and that's how it is now with the Walking Dead The Ride. It's a forwards facing coaster. Now, in 2018, that's when the ride was rethemed and X was long gone, and yeah, the Walking Dead The Ride came in, and for me, that's kind of when this ride died a little bit for me, because I used to love the X theme, especially when they actually did a refurb just a couple of years prior to them actually doing the change into the Walking Dead. They did a big refurb of the ride, and it was really good. That was in its best state in my opinion. And then they brought the Walking Dead in, and I'm not a big fan of the theme, and yeah, I just wasn't a big fan of what they did with it. However, it's still a good fun indoor coaster. I'm just not particularly a fan of the theme. Now, with the ride, it's got a pre-show. You then make your way down all these long corridors that's got some good theming and special effects, and you get onto the ride itself. Now, with this, it's no more than just a family roller coaster, but the fact that it's built inside this pyramid makes it really enjoyable in terms of the ride experience. As much as I'm not a fan of the theme, the ride experience of the coaster is good fun, even though it was probably better backwards in a way. It was a bit more mysterious, wasn't it? And now the ride itself only reaches a top speed of 27 miles an hour. It's 400 meters of track length, 1,312 feet. But yeah, you know, it's got a few effects on the ride. I think, you know, for me, the best bit is like the smoke blast. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Mummy, if you've experienced that at Universal Orlando. That's got a similar effect, and I think that's definitely where it was inspired from. But it just could have done with some more theming in there for me. There's a couple of near-miss elements, but not quite enough in there for me. It's a bit sort of stop-start in places without a lot going on. So that's why I rank that coaster in 6th place on my list. Let's move on then into 5th place, of course, counting down the 7 coasters at Thorpe Park. And down there in 5th place, it is Soar the Ride. So this is the first of the thrill coasters to appear in my list. So let me explain why I rank Soar as the lowest out of the list, of course, of the 5 thrill coasters that are Thorpe Park. Now, this is a Gerstlauer Eurofighter that opened in 2009. Now, when I first experienced this, I rated it really highly. I loved the theming, and that's something that I still do. I like Soar, all the theming around it, the queue lines theme, the station buildings all fully enclosed, and there's some great elements around the ride that's themed. However, the coaster itself hasn't aged great in my opinion. Now, I still do enjoy it depending on which seat that you're in. However, it can be quite an uncomfortable experience now. So let me go through a few stats for you about Soar the Ride. Now, with this fantastic ride, it features a 100-foot tall vertical lift hill with, of course, a drop at the other side of it, a beyond vertical drop that's 100 degrees. Now, Soar the Ride features 3 inversions, and it's got a fantastic start to the ride. Like I say, you're inside the station building, and then makes its way out to the right, an indoor drop that's near vertical. It's not quite, but it's near vertical, and then following on from that, you make your way into some different special effects in there. You've got like some air cannons inside, and then you've got a first inversion which takes you to the outside of the building, and that's all before going up that vertical lift hill. That for me is the best part of Soar the Ride. I really enjoy the indoor section. It's smooth, it's comfortable, and it's very enjoyable. And then of course, once you've actually gone up the lift hill and over the top, that's now where the ride starts to become a little bit uncomfortable depending on where you're sat. Some days, and depending on the seat, it's not too bad. However, for me, I just find it, you know, it's one of them rides that it can be really uncomfortable now, especially on that final inversion on the ride. I find it pretty unbearable now with just how uncomfortable it is. You are knocked about quite a lot. If it had lap bars, it'd be fine, but the fact you got the over-the-shoulder restraints, you just feel your ears bashing onto it. It's certainly not the most comfortable, but it's still a good coaster. It's got some great theming. I can understand why some people would really enjoy it a lot more, but for me, I prefer a more smooth but intense ride instead of rough and intense. And to be honest, there's some sections of it where, you know, it just feels a bit forceless, you know, compared to some other rides that I enjoy a bit more force, but actually not rough, you know, not rough force, you know, an actual, you're getting the forces on there, the G-force. So yeah, for me, it's not the best of those. It's the weakest thrill coaster at Thorpe Park for me. Wasn't when it opened, but now with how it's aged, it certainly is. Let's move then down into 4th place, and for me, it's Nemesis Inferno. Now, this is a Bolliger & Mabillard inverted coaster that's opened in 2003. Now, with this ride, it looks gorgeous. When you look at this ride, you've got the fantastic volcano that's got some brilliant landscaping all around it. There's mist coming out of the volcano, and it looks great. With this ride as well, it's got a fantastic section before it actually goes up the lift hill, which is really good and much more unique than a lot of inverted coasters. It comes out of the station, which is already raised up, and then you drop round to the right through the volcano itself, through a tunnel where the track twists a little bit through there. You've got lighting effects, you've got mist. It's brilliant in there. I really do enjoy it. And then you make your way around to the left and start to climb the lift hill. So even before you've gone up the lift hill on this B&M invert, you've gone through a really good part of the experience that I do really enjoy, that sort of pre-lift section. Once you've, of course, cleared that, you've got an action-packed ride, 4 different inversions on there. It starts off with a great drop to the left into a loop. Along with that, you've got a 0G roll, which is fantastic. And then my overall favourite element of Nemesis Inferno, which is the interlocking corkscrews. I love those. I think they ride great, but also they look fantastic from off-ride. I love interlocking corkscrews. One of my favourite elements ever, actually, on a coaster. And that's something that I do really enjoy with Nemesis Inferno. Now, for me, the reason that I rank it a little bit lower than some of the other rides is that I feel like the other thrill coasters at the park have got more of an identity. With this ride, I always still kind of compare it to Nemesis. As much as it's a different coaster, it's a completely different layout, and it's a different name, you know, in terms of Nemesis Inferno. Because it's got Nemesis at the start, there's part of me that still does compare it to Nemesis, which I find to be an even better coaster, a more original ride. However, there's still nothing wrong with the layout on Inferno. It's still a good solid B&M. It's just no nemesis for me. But in terms of how it ranks against the other rides, it is fantastic. It's a great coaster. It's certainly aged well. I think that it feels more intense now over the years compared to how it used to be when it opened. 749 meters of track, 2,460 feet in total. So, you know, it's got a good length to it as well, which I do really enjoy. It's a good fun coaster and it's got some great theming with the volcano. So we're down then to the final three, and in third place for me, it's Colossus. Now, this might be a bit of a controversial one, so I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts down below in the video comments. I love Colossus. I say it in the vlogs and I say it here in this countdown. Colossus is a fantastic ride. It's also the longest coaster at Thorpe Park, so you're getting so much packed into that layout. It opened in 2002. It's an Intamin multi-inversion coaster, and when it opened, it was the world's first 10 inversion coaster, or as they were branding it, the world's first 10 looping coaster. As we all know, it doesn't feature 10 loops. It's only got the one actual loop on there. However, it's got 10 inversions. There's so much packed into this ride. Firstly, the theme that it's in. The Lost City area is gorgeous. I love all of the audio around there, the planting, all the trees growing up around the area. Don't get me wrong, it looked a lot better in 2002. It used to have all the water features around it that were great, and I would love to see restored in the near future. And the ride does need some TLC. It needs a paint up. It doesn't look great now off ride as much as it used to. However, that ride has got a lot of potential to be spectacular again to look at. In terms of the coaster itself, I just really enjoy everything about it. Now, I'm not too keen on the train design, especially if you're sat in the back, because you don't have much leg room at all. In fact, your knees are just touching the seats in front. But if you're on the front of a car when you're on the trains, then yeah, I find it really enjoyable. It's definitely a front row coaster as well for me. Now, with Colossus, it's got, like I say, 10 inversions. For me, it has to be the quad heartline rolls towards the end of the ride that I do really enjoy the most. It only reaches a top speed of 44 miles an hour, but it's got a lot packed into the layout. Like I say, there's so much going on with this attraction. And along with that, like I say, it's the longest coaster at Thorpe Park, 849 meters, 2,788 feet. So it's just got so much packed in. I actually find it not too uncomfortable. I don't find it too rough. I know some people do. I just very much enjoy it. I don't find it too much of a headbanger. 3 years ago, it wasn't riding great. However, a couple of years back, they seem to have done some work to it, and it's been riding a lot better the past couple of seasons, in my opinion. But I know that's probably quite a controversial one, so I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts down below in the video comments. But as always, I say with these videos, everyone's got different opinions, and it's important to respect those. You know, somebody might find it the worst coaster at Thorpe Park. That's fine. You know, everyone's got their own thoughts, and that's what makes being a theme park enthusiast interesting, hearing people's thoughts and reactions and thinking, blimey, how can you like that coaster? And somebody might think the same for me with Colossus. You know, I just love that. You know, that's what it's all about. So in third place, the longest coaster at Thorpe Park, and the staple ride for them really from when it opened in 2002. That changed Thorpe Park forever and made it the park that it is today, Colossus. So we're down to the final two, and in second place, it is Stealth. Now, this is an Intamin accelerator coaster that opened in 2006. It's actually the second tallest roller coaster here in the United Kingdom, and this is a spectacular ride. It is definitely a front row coaster for the views, a back row coaster for the intensity, but this is absolutely brilliant. Of course, it's located in the Amity Speedway. It's got a racing theme, which sets this off great. They're playing all different rock music in the area. The theme of the ride's fantastic. You're going through a ginormous tyre at the entrance to the ride. You've got all the racing speakers around, bunting hanging up. It's just got a good vibe around the area. And the ride itself reaches 0 to 80 miles an hour in 1.9 seconds, which is brilliant. I do really enjoy the launch on this. It's actually one of the quickest accelerations on a coaster out there, so you really do feel that. 1.9 seconds getting to 80 miles an hour is brilliant. It then climbs to the top of the 205 foot tall 65 meter top hat, which is great, especially when it just slowly makes it over the top. You get some fantastic views of Thorpe Park, and it's just an experience that you can't get on any other coaster here in the UK. You know, in a lot of other places have got these bigger coasters. We don't really have that in the UK. I know we've got the big one at Pleasure Beach, which is slightly taller, but in terms of a launch coaster that goes to that height, we really enjoy that sort of stuff here in the UK. So I really enjoy Stealth. It's a great ride. I do wish it had lap bars, but I don't think the over-the-shoulder restraints take away from it too much. It's a great ride. It's forceful. It's intense. It might only be a short ride, less than 10 seconds from the launch to the brakes, but it is good fun. Also, the airtime hill going into the brakes is great too. too, and a lot of people don't talk about that with Stealth. It's normally the launch, but that airtime hill is brilliant. Like, you probably get whipped up into that, and I absolutely love it. It's a great ride, and Stealth for me sits firmly in second place, but close to being first place, because there's just something about Stealth, the overall package of it, that I really do like, the fun theme that it's got. But for me, my favourite coaster out of the 7 at Thorpe Park is the Swarm. This is a Bolliger & Mabillard wing coaster that opened in 2012, and what can I say? Now, this is a complete package. Now, anybody who's watched the channel for a while will know that I love the complete package, the complete experience, and the Swarm is just that. The area is amazing. It's got a theme all based around the end of the world. There's fire trucks, there's a plane, there's a helicopter, there's just so much around there. The station is like an abandoned church where the roof has blown off. Honestly, the whole thing is just a brilliant package. And then you've got the ride itself, which is incredible. It's smooth, it's got some good intensity, and it's got so much packed into it as well. Now, with the ride, it stands at 39 meters, that's 127 feet, and it goes straight into a dive drop, which is brilliant. That's the first of 5 different inversions on this. I love the dive drop, that is fantastic. I also really enjoy the 0G roll and also the incline loop as well. So many people don't talk about that, and I know some people wouldn't necessarily class that as an inversion because it is on an angle. However, I would class that as an inversion, making the fact that the Swarm has got 5 and not 4. But that is a brilliant element of the ride too. It's the near misses on this that are great too. Now, in 2012, it didn't actually open with the big billboard. That came the year after, 2013, and when it opened in 2012, I wasn't complaining. It looked brilliant, but it looks even better. I can't imagine it without that billboard now. There is a fire effect on there as well. It doesn't go off all the time, but it is great when it goes off, especially at night. Also, the train design on the Swarm is brilliant. The trains are gorgeous. You get a different ride experience as well, depending on which side that you're on. There's little LED lights on the trains, and it's just a complete package. I love that ride to bits. It's a shame that it didn't really get the appreciation that it deserved when it opened in 2012, in my opinion. You know, it was a great ride when it opened, and it still is to this day. I love the theme of it, the overall vibe, and the coaster itself. I think it's got some good intense moments, it's got some hang time, but it's also got some more chilled out moments on there as well. It's just an all-round mix of everything, and it's heavily themed, which for me is a big part of a ride. So there we go. That's my top 7 Thorpe Park roller coasters, ranking them all against each other. Let me know your thoughts down below in the video comments, especially on that Colossus decision. Can't wait to hear that. Maybe some people enjoy the flying fish the most. Like I say, I'm not the target market for that, but honestly, I can't wait to read the comments on this one and hear what you guys think. So list them all below, rank them 7 Thorpe Park coasters. If you haven't already, check out the previous couple of ranking videos that I've just done. This is a new part of the countdown videos here on the channel. I also do top 10s and just countdown videos in general now. But yeah, I did all ranking all the 12 Disney parks. I did ranking all the 10 coasters at Alton Towers, and then of course this. And up next, it will be ranking the 10 coasters at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. So stay tuned for that one. But there we go. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or maybe you know, you've got similarities but some are different. Let me know in the video comments. In the meantime, there's new videos every single day to enjoy here on Theme Park Worldwide, and thank you so much for watching. Your support really does mean the world to me. It really does. I'm Sean Sandbrook, and that leaves me with one final thing to say. Get out there and keep on riding. See you soon.